March the 9th. My neighbor is using his drilling machine on the concrete walls. Well, let's try this. My thoughts are still in the third crescent and with the first scientists, who happen to be women. Their laboratory was the real world of plants and animals, whose innate tendencies they exploited through close observation and experimentation. Instead of fixed fields, they exploited alluvial soils on the margins of lakes and springs, which shifted location from year to year. Instead of hewing wood, tilling fields, and carrying waters, they found ways of persuading nature to do much of this labor for them. Theirs was not a science of domination and classification, but one of bending and coaxing, nurturing and cajoling, and even tricking the forces of nature to increase the likelihood of a favorable outcome. This was botany, this was gardening, this was not agriculture, as agriculture is essentially about the production of food. And this was just one very limited aspect of a Neolithic relationship between people and plants. Their relationship was far more about the straw and ultimately the clay, which they molded into houses but also three-dimensional art, figurines, little toys. The three-dimensional thinking supplied them with different brain circuitry, different cascades running through their brains to create their reality. This wasn't really an economic transition as much as it was a media and social revolution. Why then insist people, including teachers in school, teaching our kids today to wax on about the agricultural revolution when hunter-gatherers settled down? Well, included in the frame agriculture is food production and the provision of one's family. It's very gendered. This becomes even more obvious when we think about the frame domestication. Domestication usually implies some form of domination or control over the unruly forces of wild nature. You can basically see the man who tames the wild mustang with sheer force, sweat running down his back. Not the woman who really did the work. And it is the case that those still talking, despite the archaeological evidence about an agricultural revolution, assume that the principal reason for the invention of agriculture was to produce more food to supply a growing population. But there are other reasons too. For one, the beginnings of the concept of private property is attributed to the agricultural revolution. It is said that there's a straight line between working the soil, breaking your back while doing so, and erecting a fence around it to mark it as yours is inexistent. And then the rise of cities, and from them the state, with hierarchical structures as well as laws, and their enforcement is also regarded as a logical consequence of the agricultural revolution. That again is said to be a necessary step to culture and science, civilization as we know it. Implied in this journey metaphor, with stages which can't be reached unless you pass one after the other, is the warning that questioning hierarchical structures, inequality, and the patriarchy, the way society is currently organized, is impossible unless you want to go back to small bands of hunter-gatherers after you killed off the majority of the people of Earth today. And since this is how our brain works, this warning is enforced every time the involved frames are touched. So basically on a daily basis. Several times. It leaves you with, all of us, with this ever-looming feeling of impotence, of a fear to even think for solutions lest we might tumble the whole construct, of bone-deep tiredness because we carry the weight of a millennia. The good thing is, this story does not play out in the archaeological evidence. The more we learn about our ancestors in prehistory, the more we see role models of playful, creative, courageous thinking who weren't afraid to test things on for size and then discard even fundamental concepts if he didn't like them and start all over again. Somehow, it's our brains that got stuck somewhere along the way. But we can change this. We can help ourselves by giving us permission to think big. Make a habit out of thinking. Turn thinking into a movement. Like, comment, share, and as always, thank you for gifting me with a few minutes of your most precious, your lifetime.